Okay, so here's something wild. Your brain doesn't care if a habit is good or bad, it just strengthens whatever you repeat. That means every time you replay a thought or behavior, you're literally carving a deeper groove in your brain.
Oh, that's fascinating. So it's not about morality or willpower, it's just biology doing its thing.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. You can't destroy those old grooves by fighting them. That's where most people go wrong. They try to overpower anxiety with positivity or bulldoze procrastination with motivation. But the science says that's not how it works.
So, what does work? If you can't fight the old patterns, how do you actually change them?
It's all about starving the old patterns of attention and building new ones. Neuroscientists call this process synaptic pruning. Basically, the pathways you stop using weaken over time, while the ones you focus on grow stronger. It's like a garden. What you water grows, and what you neglect withers.
That's such a different way of thinking about change. It's not about tearing down the old, but about redirecting your energy to something new.
Exactly. And the best part is, this isn't just a metaphor, it's structural biology. Every thought you have is an electrochemical signal traveling down a neural pathway. The more you use that pathway, the more efficient it becomes. It's like paving a dirt road into a highway.
And that's why some habits or thought patterns feel so automatic, right? Because you've essentially built a superhighway for them in your brain.
Yes, and your brain, being the energy-saving machine that it is, will always default to the most well-worn path. That's why anxiety or self-doubt can feel so hard to shake. It's not because you're weak, it's because you've unintentionally trained your brain to go there.
But here's what I'm curious about. If the brain is so efficient at reinforcing old patterns, how do you actually start building new ones? What's the first step?
The first step is awareness. You have to catch yourself in those old loops and recognize them for what they are, just patterns, not truths. And then, instead of trying to suppress them, you redirect your attention to something else. It's not about fighting the old thought, it's about choosing a new one.
That sounds simple in theory, but I imagine it's much harder in practice. How do you keep yourself from falling back into those old grooves?
It definitely takes practice, and that's where consistency comes in. The brain doesn't change overnight. It's like building a muscle. You have to work at it regularly. Every time you redirect your attention, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Over time, those votes add up.
And this ties into the idea of identity, doesn't it? James Clear talks about how lasting change happens at the level of identity, not just behavior.
Exactly. If you frame it as, I'm trying to stop procrastinating, you're reinforcing the struggle. But if you say, I'm someone who values my time and uses it wisely, you're creating a new identity for your brain to organize around. It's a subtle shift, but it's incredibly powerful.
So every time you redirect your attention, you're not just building a new neural pathway, you're also reinforcing that new identity. It's like saying, this is who I am now.
Yes, and that's what makes this approach so empowering. You're not stuck with your old patterns. They're just the default settings of your brain, and defaults can be changed. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent enough that the new pattern becomes your new default.
And what I love about this is that it removes so much of the self-judgment. When an old pattern surfaces, it's not a sign that you're failing. It's just your brain doing what it's designed to do.
Exactly. Your job isn't to be shocked or frustrated by the old pattern. Your job is to consistently choose not to travel that road. Over time, the old pathway weakens and the new one becomes stronger.
It's such a hopeful way to think about change. You're not fighting a battle you can't win. You're building something new, one small step at a time.
And that's the key, small, consistent steps. It's not about one heroic act of willpower. It's about 10,000 tiny redirections. That's how you rewire your brain.
So if someone wanted to start this process today, what's one practical thing they could do?
A great place to start is with metacognitive awareness. That's just a fancy way of saying, pay attention to your thoughts. When you catch yourself in an old loop, name it without judgment. Just acknowledge it and then consciously redirect your focus to something else.
And what happens if you mess up? If you catch yourself falling back into the old pattern?
That's totally normal, and it's part of the process. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be consistent. Every time you redirect your attention, even if it's just once, you're making progress. The friction you feel in those moments is your brain rewiring itself in real time.
That's such a powerful reframe. Instead of seeing the struggle as a failure, you see it as evidence that change is happening.
Exactly. And over time, that friction gets easier. The new pathway becomes stronger, and the old one fades into the background. It's not about fighting the old, it's about building the new.
And it's such a freeing way to think about personal growth. You're not stuck. You're the architect of your own brain. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become.
And that's the takeaway, isn't it? Change isn't a battle, it's a building process. And you have everything you need to start building today.